Hello, in this video, I want to show you what teams can do. So I am logged in as a teacher, and so these are the teams that I am a part of. Some of them are the classes I've created that I'll use with my students. There are also some teams that have to do with, like, all of Connections is in Homeschool Connections. All the Connections instructors are in Connections instructors. The house system has to do with the Scola, however you say the other name. And so one way that we can use teams is to organize ourselves into groups. So you can see that. But I can also use it as a teacher to help me better communicate and organize things for my students. So let me talk a little bit about that. So once you have your team set up as a class, you can post things in this section of your general channel. You can add channels. So if you had a topic that you wanted to, have a chat about or something like that. Oh, I cannot make it a question. Automatically show this channel in everyone's list. I can add that, and that can be a place where they'd know, okay, I can go there and talk about that topic instead of putting it in general. You can make it to where it's only accessible to a specific group. So if you're doing group projects, you could create channels so that each group has their own channel and can basically talk with you and with their team members about the group project. So that's something you can do. You can organize discussions and kind of organize where do you want students to go for specific things. Back to the general tab. So you can post things. You can post announcements in this tab, which is really helpful. You can upload files. So probably if you're new to Teams, teachers, this is where I would recommend maybe that you put files. You can drag and drop. So this class materials folder is read only, which means that if you put it in this folder, students can't change it on accident. So if you go to class materials, I don't have anything in here. I can create folders. I can drag files in. The easiest thing to do is to drag files in, because as you're uploading, it's going to keep going back to something that does not necessarily seem helpful, it seems like. So I just like to drag and drop into here. And you can organize this way. So that's what I did last year, is that I organized by unit and by what it was, in the hopes that if somebody was missing something, they'd know exactly where to go. You have a class notebook that you can set up, and you actually have to click something to set it up if you haven't already. This is another way that you can organize things for kids, and this is something that I'm planning to use this year that I didn't really use last year. And what you do with this is you can create things in your content library, like different pages. So these are each kind of worksheet pages that I made, and so I've stuck them in here. And I've completed a video for week 1, so I've got my web address there, so they can click on that to go to the video that's related to this. And then when I'm ready, I can distribute these to the students. So I only have one student enrolled right now, which is test student, but once I have my students enrolled, I can push it out to everybody. And there will be a video on how to do that later on, but that's something I can do, is I can say I've created something. And for those of you who are not math, you can type questions and have them fill in answers. You basically can create, number 1, and pretend these are questions you would actually ask. Who are you? Number 2, what do you like to do? So you could, I don't know why my 2 is over a little bit. That's weird. But you can create questions. We would name this And then you can distribute this to all your students, and then they'll have their own copy of this that they can answer, which is really neat. So that's something you can do on Teams, is you can use the class notebook. Something you can use on Teams is the assignment tab. Again, if you haven't used it, there will be something to click to get it like set up or whatever. But assignments is a way that you can accept things online. I would recommend using Teams for uploading assignments, not Homeschool Life, but that's just me. That's just my opinion. So we can create assignments that get pushed out to students. They're able to see a list of assignments from all their classes, or to go to the class and see what the assignments are. And they are able to upload something to that assignment, and it's really easy to do. And then once you have assignments that they've turned in, there is a way to grade them and offer feedback. I can type in a grade if I know what grade to give them, or I can open their work, which there is no work attached. Way to go, test student, for turning it in blank, which test student is me, so that's my bad. So if there was something attached here, then I would be able to see it, and then I could type over here on the side, great job, or you're missing something. I can assign points, I can return. Oh, this is new. I can return for revision. So I can, I'm assuming that means that it kind of kicks it back to them, so it's back in their notifications, so that they know that they're supposed to basically do more. But I don't know. That's something I'm going to have to investigate, because I have not seen that before. And there are a lot of other things that you can do as well. There's a plus button up here so that you can add different tabs. So I know that some teachers have been using wikis to organize what they're doing each week so that it's easy to see. I like to put things that are YouTube video, my YouTube channel, so they can get to it easily, and places where they can go practice math. I like to put those up at the top. So that's the idea, that you put your syllabus as a PDF, as a tab, and that way that would just be up here for them to be able to see quickly with minimal effort. So probably if you're middle school or high school traditional classes, you're like, okay, I can kind of see how this works. It's kind of like a grade book, kind of like a turn-in basket, kind of like a filing system, right, that you can provide for your students. But those of you who are either not in a traditional class, by which I mean math, reading, writing, science, that sort of thing, it may be a little bit trickier for you to know what to do with Teams. So definitely reach out if that's something that you would like to talk about. And then for our younger classes, elementary, Teams is probably going to look a lot different. And so I reached out to the teachers to say, hey, what do you guys kind of use Teams for? And a response I got about elementary students was that they use it as a way to communicate with parents. So if that's something that you have younger kids and want to, say you guys need to get on with their account once a week, twice a week, every day, whatever it might be, help them log on to see what they need to do, or log on so you can see what you need to do as a parent, then that would be an option. And hopefully, once your parents kind of see what's going on and students see what's going on with this, I feel like it's enough like other social media platforms or other things they've seen that hopefully it won't be too difficult to figure out. a couple other things that you can do with Teams is you can have meetings with your students either as a whole class, or you can have one-on-one meetings. There's this meet button up here where if I click it, it'll start a meeting right now, or a drop down here to schedule a meeting. So this could be if you have remote students. This could be if you realize that you are not going to be able to make it to a class and you want to be able to try to coordinate a way to still have class. That can be tricky. But that's a way that you can interact with your students in the same way that you would with Zoom or some other kind of video conferencing setup. But it's included here in Teams. And so it can show up in our like news, our little feed here and things like that if we schedule a meeting. You can also schedule one-on-one with students. And so that's where you might go over here to the chat, and you'd probably want to chat with the student. You can create a new message, type in the student name, send them a message. I'm going to say, hey, you messed up your last assignment. Can we do a video chat? And she has no idea what I'm doing, so she's going to be surprised by this. But I can send that out. We can chat about that. And then once we've figured it out, we could do a video or just an audio call from up here using this camera button. So that's something you can do. You can also, if you share things with an individual student or group of students, that will show up in the files here. And you can just you can communicate really easily with your students. It's so much easier to do than email. And if we're all using Teams pretty consistently, then the kids will get in the habit of looking at it consistently. And so then it just makes that communication that much easier. So that was a lot of information. There's going to be videos on specific parts of this as far as how do you do these things that I've said you can do. But I wanted to just give you something to start thinking about as far as like imagining how you can use Teams either for the first time or in a way that's different than how you used it last year. Thanks for watching. As always, if you have questions or need help, please email help.teams@connectionsnw.org. Thanks.